Designed to stick, why some ideas survive and others die. Designed to stick, why some ideas survive and others die. This is the title of a book that examines why some ideas become popular and successful while others fade into oblivion. The book analyzes various aspects that help ideas stick and survive in society. The authors explained that compelling ideas shared certain common traits, such as simplicity, emotional resonance, concreteness, as well as the ability to intrigue and provoke thought. The book also explores different psychological mechanisms that influence how ideas are perceived by the audience. The authors delve into how psychological factors like emotional connection, social trust, and ease of understanding can impact the success of an idea. The book Designed to Stick provides readers with insights and advice on how to create ideas that are appealing and impactful. The authors draw from the psychology of perception and communication, provide numerous examples of stories and successful ideas, and offer practical tips to make one's own ideas more sticky and effective. This book can be valuable for those interested in marketing, communications, the psychology of perception, and the influence of ideas on an audience. Principle number 1: Simplicity and its impact. For your idea to be exceptionally appealing and memorable, you must strive for maximum simplicity. This doesn't mean your idea should be empty or uninteresting. On the contrary, it should be both super interesting and super simple at the same time. An idea that is conveyed clearly and simply has a higher chance of sticking in the minds of the audience. Our brains are instinctively drawn to straightforward, concise concepts. This is because our brains seek to conserve energy and prefer something easy to comprehend. Example of a simple idea: an advertising campaign aimed to promote a healthy lifestyle. They chose a living example, a guy named Jared who managed to lose 30 kilograms in a month by eating only sandwiches. Instead of convoluted details, they simply showed the before and after, which was visually and easily understood by everyone. The essence of a simple idea is to convey the main message succinctly and clearly. Minimizing unnecessary details and complex expressions will make your idea more appealing to a broad audience. Principle number 2: Using familiar templates. The second principle revolves around the idea that an idea should adhere to a familiar structure. To illustrate this principle, let's imagine that I'm explaining to you what a grapefruit is. Let's assume you've never heard of grapefruit, never tasted it, and haven't even seen a picture of it. A poor way of explaining it would go like this: a grapefruit is a round and semicircular geometric figure with dimples, yellow star-like features, and inside there's a reddish elongated flesh. So, it's somewhat about grapefruit, but without the taste details. When narrating, it's crucial to refer to familiar things that everyone already knows. Here's an example of how you can do it. A grapefruit is more akin to a citrus fruit, resembling an orange, but with a reddish hue. In other words, it's something akin to what you already know, and I'm just adding a touch of imagination and representation of a grapefruit to it. Therefore, when you want to explain something new to someone, relate it to familiar concepts that everyone is acquainted with. This will aid in comprehending the new idea more easily and make a connection in the listener's mind. Principle number 3: Breaking the norm. The third principle revolves around the simplest way to grab attention, by disrupting the familiar pattern. Let's delve into what this means. The book provides an example involving math teachers, completely ordinary, known, average, talented, and even not very successful math instructors. Each of them was asked the same question: could you please tell us how math helps in life? In other words, how can math be useful in real life after finishing school? Most teachers responded with ordinary phrases about developing logical thinking, mental tone, and other similar things usually said about the benefits of math. However, one math teacher took a completely different approach. He said, "Math won't help you. Listen, if you sat here and just listened to me, you'd start getting bored within 5 seconds, because it's boring. Math won't help you in real life at all." This math teacher, unlike the others, shattered the conventional pattern. His unexpected response made the conversation more engaging and caught everyone's attention. This is called pattern disruption. And because of this approach, journalists stopped panicking, started listening more attentively, and put away their recording devices to better absorb his words. So, when you want to capture your audience's attention, be it in a speech or a simple conversation, begin by breaking the norm. However, don't forget to think ahead, as the math teacher eventually unfolded the situation and explained the value of math in an interesting way. Principle number 4: Specificity and memorability through examples. The fourth principle highlights that concrete examples make ideas more memorable. Let's recall math in the first 2 grades. It might seem odd or perhaps not even remembered, but let's try. Remember how teachers would give such strange problems? Mary had this many pens, and Mike had that many, and when Mary took all of Mike's pens, how many pens did she have? Usually, such tasks were detached from reality. But imagine if practical stories that intrigued first-grade students were used back then. For instance, instead of apples or fruits, contemporary interests of first graders, like computer games or other activities, could have been incorporated. This would have made the task more comprehensible and engaging for students. When an example relates to the interests of the target audience, they immerse themselves more deeply in the task. For instance, a problem about getting likes under photos on social media can be fascinating for teenagers who actively use those platforms. This is called applying reality in the context of the target audience's interests. Therefore, if you want to provide an example, start by understanding the target audience, their interests, and needs, and include these aspects in your example. This way, you can make your idea more accessible and interesting to the audience. Principle number 5, impressive example with presentation. The fifth principle is based on presenting an impressive example using a presentation. Let's consider the story of the Pocket Personal Computer, PPC, in 1987. This story is truly impressive. Imagine an entrepreneur sitting in an American office, waiting for his turn. The office is bustling, secretaries quietly summoning new candidates into the large hall. Typically, suited men discuss who to grant investments to and who not. And then this guy walks in, nervous and unsure of himself, having seen other candidates who all appeared confident. He decides that the ordinary, standard approach won't work. And then he steps into the room and, feeling he has nothing to lose, takes a remarkable step. He grabs a burgundy folder and, just 30 seconds after greetings, slams it onto the table in front of the investors who were deciding on investment. This triggered a storm of reactions, snapping them out of their complacency and making them listen more attentively. Then he said, "See this folder? It contains an enormous amount of documents and information that's in the product I'm developing. This is just a fraction of what will be included in this product by the end. So, I'm not just telling you the native story, but showing you a visual story." He connected his presentation with the object, capturing attention and impressing the investors. This approach piqued their curiosity, and in the end, they did invest in his product. Thus, it's important to use impressive examples and create presentations that leave an impact and stimulate attention. This helps convey the idea to the audience and persuade them effectively. Principle number 6, details in the story enhance arguments. The sixth principle asserts that details in a story make arguments more compelling. Let's examine an example involving judges and fictional cases. In an experiment, judges were asked to decide whether to convict a particular individual and what sentence to impose, such as 5 years, 3 years, 10 years, and so on. The fictional cases presented to the judges had varying levels of detail. In the first scenario, the case had very dry information. The person committed the crime, for instance, stole a television. What decision should the judge make? In the second scenario, the case had numerous details, such as the context of the stolen television. The thief stole a television, but it's known that the television was brand new and recently purchased by a family that had saved up for it over a year. The theft caused significant emotional distress to a little girl and her mother, who had high hopes for the purchased item. This example illustrates that details add depth and persuasiveness to arguments. For instance, when considering a situation where a television was stolen from an apartment, and the details include an emotional aspect, such as the impact on a young girl and her mother, the case becomes more specific and emotionally resonant for the audience. Therefore, if you want to effectively convey information, use details that can evoke emotions and resonate with the audience, thereby making your idea more comprehensible and persuasive. Principle number 7, details should be convincing and empathetic. The seventh principle asserts that details in a story should not only be convincing but also empathetic. Let's consider an example of a social advertisement in the USA that focused on the issue of dogs being killed by cars. However, this approach didn't resonate with many people, including dog owners. Yet, if the advertising agent approached a dog owner, addressed them by name, and asked, "But you wouldn't want your beloved Fido, whom you've cherished since childhood, to end up under the wheels of a car, would you?" Then you'd have to rush to the vet clinic, or only a miracle could save him. This example speaks directly to people's emotions because it touches upon their personal experiences and emotional connections with their beloved pets. This story illustrates that details should not only be convincing but also empathetic, as when a story becomes personal for the listener, it significantly impacts them more strongly.